Hi, welcome to Echoes from the Basement, an X Files podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Alice, and I'm here with my co host today, Abigail, my little furry friend, my cat. She's just resting here beside me. And each week, I revisit a classic episode of The X Files while sharing my take on the strange and mysterious adventures of Agent Scully and Mulder. And who knows, I might even make a believer out of you. Hey, once again, I'm Alice, and now we're covering the second episode of The X Files called Deep Throat. The episode starts off in Idaho, where the police are surrounding a house. We're not too sure what's going on. A woman comes up stating that her husband is inside the house, and the police said he has made some military violations. The officers then break into the home, and we see a man sitting in the corner, underwear only, with a complete rash that covers him from head to toe. Flash forward, we're now back in Washington, where we see Scully waiting for Mulder at the bar. He wants to show her something very secretive that cannot be shown at the FBI's building. Wonder what it is. It's the case of Colonel Robert Budhoff. He's a test pilot for the military who essentially had a mental health crisis. That's the man we saw in the beginning with the rash all over his body, and he barricaded himself in the home. The mysterious part of it all is that the military is giving no information up about his condition or where he maybe had contracted it from. We also get the sneak peek of Mulder's eventual confidant, Deep Throat, another iconic character that will eventually help him later on. But for now, he scares Mulder while he's in the bathroom. If someone came up to me in the bathroom, I would also be terrified, especially if they snuck up on me. Deep Throat tells Mulder that this case is too dangerous, but doesn't reveal his identity to Mulder when Mulder questions it. Now we're back at the FBI headquarters. Scully's doing a research about this case and just thinks, well, this is another UFO case that Mulder has come up with. Scully and Mulder then go to Idaho and meet with Mr. Budahas's wife, who hasn't seen him for some times and thinks the military has kidnapped her husband, or maybe even somebody else has kidnapped him. We find out that Miss Budahas thinks that the rash comes from renovations from their home. They were using some sort of paint thinner and he got it from there. She also reveals that he was a test pilot and worked on top secret military assignments. She says as well, he slowly changes into a whole nother man. He yells at their kids. He becomes more erratic. And one time he also ate fish food. So now as the audience, we must think, why would the military kidnap him? And some other test pilots have gone missing as well. Why would the military kidnap them? Scully and Mulder ask his wife, has anything else have happened to other pilots who are working on top secret missions? She said yes. In the next scene, we actually see them discussing another test pilot with his wife. The man is kind of hyper focused on something. He's also acting strange. Mulder asks the other test pilot's wife if anybody has tried to explain his condition to her. She basically says, no, not at all, but it doesn't really matter. At least he's home, safe, he's alive. She basically is just hyping up the government way too much, and it kind of gets really suspicious. Mulder basically believes it could be aliens, it could be the government, it's basically something around those lines. But Scully says his condition could be caused to stress. Well, both men's condition could have been caused to stress. They're in a very high risk situation and just maybe they couldn't deal with it. Their jobs just might be too stressful. But why now? Why do these two test pilots, who have probably gone under a number of stress tests, having mental health crises and acting strange? Well, Agent Scully and Mulder must solve this mystery. After that, Scully and Mulder end up going back to their hotel where they tried to get in touch with the base in Idaho. They're on the phone, they get put on hold, but Scully manages to reach somebody and they have a meeting with Colonel Kissel on Friday. Okay, well, that's just way too long for them. They need answers basically right now. So what do? Mulder and Scully pull up at the Colonel's house, Colonel Kissel's house, and start questioning as he's trying to get into his front door, but he refuses to answer. I wonder why. We then see a strange man come out of complete nowhere, but he just introduces himself as a reporter and says, I just live around here. He's asking, well, okay, so what's the tea on this situation? Do you have any answers about what's been going on with these test pilots? Mulder says no, but he also asks to the reporter, potential reporter, we're not too sure who he is, do you believe in UFOs? The reporter guy says no, but Mulder says, well, where can I find people who do? Now we zoom in to an alien-themed diner. Would really love to go there. I think it'd be super cool to go to a diner that's just alien themed and their whole market is just selling you the idea that aliens are out there. But I digress. They go into the diner, they see there's pictures of spacecrafts all over the wall that people have taken. Mulder ends up offering to buy one for the lady who was working there. She said she was the actual one to take it and she took it right outside of the diner door. It's basically a Dorito-shaped spacecraft. It's just a triangle. Then they also ask, well, where can we find the base? The military base here. It's not on any American map, and she basically just draws them some directions and just tells them where to go. So later on that night, Scully and Mulder go to their base with the makeshift map that the waitress gave them at the diner, and they see two orbs of light in the sky. They basically looks like the orbs are dancing in the sky. Scully is a true non-believer, but how at this point could she possibly dismiss something like this? Could be military spacecrafts, but could also be alien spacecrafts. We are unsure. We see two kids, and I think actually one of the kids from it, the boy, will eventually be in Austin Powers. He's Dr. Evil's son. I can't believe he probably got his start in the X-Files. We see them run off the base, and Scully and Mulder track them down. They're all running from a helicopter that's chasing him. We eventually find out that that helicopter was meant for Mulder and Scully. It was basically trying to scare Mulder and Scully off the base and basically trying to get them off the base and off of the case. The kids will eventually show Mulder how to get back on the base through a hole in the fence. They also talk about, well, the kids talk about what else is located on the base. There's aircrafts, there's bombs, storage that the military uses. Mulder thinks, of course, it's some sort of alien UFOs that the government is trying to cover up. But the kids think they are just high-tech military aircrafts, no UFOs, nothing suspicious about us. But, we never know. We are watching the X-Files. It could literally be either or. Government cover-up or UFO sightings. So Scully and Mulder talk about what they saw a little bit more. The orbs dancing around in the dark. They basically think it's some sort of aircraft of some sort. Mulder said it's some sort of spaceship. He actually pulls out some pictures from Roswell that have the same exact shape the spaceships do. They have the same triangle shape as the aircraft that they saw in the picture and at the base. Scully says no, because how would we have some of this technology? It's pretty much unbelievable. We have nothing to compare this to. Basically saying it's impossible. We are light years away from this sort of technology, but Mulder thinks that the government is just trying to cover it up, that they actually used the parts from the spaceship that landed in Roswell, took those parts, and built their own military spacecrafts out here in the Idaho base. So what he's saying is we have a hybrid aircraft, part American military, part using alien technology. Scully also says that basically, in her words, that the pictures are photoshopped, even though I don't think Photoshop was around that point. But I also wonder how something like this could be staged. You can't have two triangle shapes in the sky at different points in time. I just think it's not possible that they could be doctored like that. But all this doesn't explain the disappearance of Colonel Budahas, but it might. The government ends up releasing him because Agent Scully and Mulder are getting too close to the case. We then see his wife says, "This is not my husband." Because Mulder and Scully, once they heard of his release, went to see Mr. Budahas's wife. She says, "This isn't my husband. I don't believe anything he says at all." And he just came back out of nowhere. I mean, this is also the X-Files. He could also be a clone of some sort, but I don't truly think that's the case. Mulder asked him some basic questions about when he got married and some other superficial stuff that's easy to answer. But there's one question he gets wrong. It's about a plane. It's some question regarding how to fly a plane, I forget, but the colonel can't answer it at all. Well, how could he not answer it? He knows how to fly the plane. He knows how the plane operates. He can't even remember that. So Mulder comes to the conclusion that the government has rewired his brain because he became a security threat. What happened was having to drive and pilot those planes basically broke the colonel. He just couldn't handle the pressure of the high stakes situation. So instead of the government letting him go, they've decided he's a threat to security and he would release all this information if found out. So they rewired his brain. They basically took bits and pieces of his memory and made him forget. Scully, on the other hand, just thinks he has forgotten because of the stress of his job. But I would also like to go back to the fact that he probably deals with high stakes situations all the time. Why would he be stressed now, as Mulder says? While Agent Mulder and Scully are driving, they are thrown off the road by some men in suits and take all the evidence, the photos, transcripts, everything. They take all of it, the men in suits do. Well, who are they? They're actually working as part of the government. These men in suits tell Agent Scully and Mulder to go home. There's nothing here. We've already released the colonel back to his family. There's nothing more you can do here. He's basically not missing anymore. After this defeat, Scully and Mulder go back to the hotel where they discuss this potential government cover-up. And also, Scully sides with the government, basically saying, well, they have a right to hide their secrets. While Mulder says, no, this should be public information, the public has a right to know. But with also acknowledging this, it would tell the public that aliens exist, and what kind of controversy would that also bring up? Afterwards, Mulder sneaks back onto the base until nightfall. He then sees the aircraft. Dun dun dun! He is on the runway and he sees the bottom half of this alien military hybrid plane. It basically goes at supersonic speed and it stops right above him. But there's a catch. Agent Mulder is captured by the US military and taken. On the other hand, the next morning, Scully is trying to find him, but the phones in the hotel are not working. We then see the reporter leave her room. How suspicious. We find out that he is a spy for the government and has been keeping tabs on Agent Scully and Mulder this entire time. We see Scully find his badge in his glove compartment and the man is also armed. While him and Scully basically wrestle for a few minutes, Scully ends up holding the man hostage in order to get Mulder back. She basically, forces him to drive back to the base and contact the government. On the other side, there is inside the base, and he sees the constructions of these spaceships. Too bad he won't remember any of it. Why, you may ask? The government erases and rewires his memory through a procedure. They give him a shot, they put something in his eyes, they are clearly operating on him in some way. We're back to Scully, basically holding the reporter man / government agent hostage in exchange for Mulder. Agent Mulder is released by the government and the reporter is freed. But here's the thing. Mulder can't remember anything. The ultimate downfall. Something he has been searching for forever. He can't even remember. I could not believe this. It's like Government 1, Mulder 0. It's so disappointing to see something that he's worked so hard for to see just basically erased from his memory. He doesn't believe anything. Scully and Mulder eventually meet up with Miss Budahas once again. She basically avoids them, doesn't want to talk to them, says her husband is completely fine. She doesn't even know why she called them. She completely avoids them. The government got to the Budahases first. They probably just told her to keep quiet and to not interact with Scully and Mulder because it would be a security threat. And, they probably also threatened her. The episode ends with Mulder meeting Deep Throat again. Now we get a sense more of who Deep Throat is going to be by this interaction. Clearly, he is a highly important man with some highly sensitive and significant information for Mulder. Deep Throat basically says, okay, I'm gonna help you, but about my own time, when it's convenient for me, and I'm not gonna get, involved. Deep Throat wants to be Mulder's confidant, and also nudges at the fact that aliens exist. So my questions for you guys is, how far do you think the government should go to protect their secrets? And what does the public have a right to know? My take on this episode is that it was awesome, very mysterious, very also crazy that we get to see Deep Throat. He becomes Mulder's information guy, and that we get to see him basically go into action and hint at the existence of aliens. And it's just kind of like the start of it all. Deep Throat will eventually come out with more information for Mulder, but only really piece by piece. So I thought this episode was great, but I thought that also Mulder losing his memory was so sad and disappointing. He worked so hard to find some sort of alien existence, and he almost had it and it slipped from his hand. We also see that Scully is still a non believer in it all, and I'm still not sure how because she literally saw some sort of spacecraft. But I guess that happens when you only truly believe in science. And I also really liked the diner as well. I thought that was very cute. But thanks for listening, all you truth seekers, abductee, and X Files enthusiasts. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the show. And remember, the truth is out there. You just have to find it.